could punch you in the stomach.
Oh, man.
Words could get you in the stomach.
Shout out Kimbo Slice, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, rest in peace with my brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? It's your motherfucking boy, Gamero, the Pharaoh, the poor man's Robert De Niro. You know what I'm talking about? Bald version, but still beautiful. How you doing? We are also very ecstatic, you know, here at Midnight in Miami Studios to bring you another story, another champion here in the Midnight in Miami set. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? I know you on YouTube, on the YouTube, hit the subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? I know you on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, all that good stuff. Follow us on Instagram, all that good stuff. Show us some love. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. Thank you for doing so. And ladies and gentlemen, what an episode we have in store for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, how do I even put into words, how do I introduce the titan of industries? You know what I'm talking about that I have before me. Ladies and gentlemen, the man that I have before me is not only the co-host and co-creator of one of the most successful podcasts, not only in Florida, but in the world, Drink Champs. You know what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, the man before me is also an artist himself. Ladies and gentlemen, the man before me has been working on his craft for timeless, for years and years. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute honor to be able to introduce for the first time in the Midnight in Miami Studios, ladies and gentlemen, we have DJ EFN! My brother, what's going on?
I didn't know you had that in you, brother.
Oh, man. That's what I get half the time.
You are a ring announcer. I'm ready for Roddy Piper to come through these doors right
yes,
now.
sir. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Thank you so much. How's everything going? First of all, cheers, my brother. Cheers. Let's do a real cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, my brother. Thank you so much for dropping on by today. It's an absolute honor to be able to kick it with you. First of all, I mean, how do we begin an episode so illustrious with such an illustrious guest here today in store? Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to ask, brother, talk to me about the roots. You know what I'm saying? Before Drink Champs, before, you know, everything came to be, right. Talk to us about, you know, the roots in LA, when you came down to Miami. Talk to us about how it all started.
I mean, you know, this is a long, we got 20 hours to talk about our life story. Shit, I mean, that's a loaded question right there. But I mean, look, I'm born in Los Angeles, California. My parents are Cuban. They both ended up in California. My dad came in Peter Pan. Anybody that knows the Cuban story, he was one of the kids that came in Peter Pan in that program. And then he joined the Marines, went to Vietnam, and he was based in San Diego in California. And then my mom was over there, and they met. They had me, and my dad ended up having PTSD and having all kinds of issues from the war, and things didn't work out. So he moved to Miami when I was young. I was like 4 or 5, and then me and my mom moved to this place called Southgate. Okay. In LA. A lot of people that follow like Cypress Hill and Mellow Mayonnaise and all those people, they're from that same area of Southgate, Huntington Park, and fellow Cubans as well. And so then, you know, my parents tried to work it out, and we would come to Miami. You know, I was like, maybe the first time I came was like 4 or 5 years old, and they were trying to work it out, and things just weren't working out. And we'd come back, you know, in the middle of the night back to LA. Right. And they tried it like 3 or 4 times where we was back and forth, and finally stayed in Miami around like 6 years old.
Okay. 6 years old. And at what
6, 7, something like that.
Okay, 6 or 7. And I guess at what point did music come into the picture? Did you kind of have a passion for it earlier on? Or did it come down the line?
Nah, I definitely, from like, I had like older cousins in LA listening to disco and you know, 80s pop music, and just like, and then, you know, in the house, my mom was listening to like salsa y merengue and stuff like that. So music was all around. And I got heavily into music through soundtracks, watching movies, you know, because that's like, I needed to like put a visual to the music. And so that's what put me onto a lot of music and all kinds of music. Like, I was into everything. There was a point in my life I was like a huge like into metal and rock, and I was a skater. Okay. So I got into punk and thrash. And see, that's what led me to hip hop, because I was into like counterculture music. You know what I'm saying? So and hip hop was that. But going backwards again, like, you know, just the soundtracks of movies is what really like really fed my passion for music, and I just love music. I was captivated by music. I was into music, you know, instilling like a point in time or a reference in your mind of an experience or a visual of a movie. And I always looked at music in a way that it was like a time capsule.
Wow. Off the top of the dome, what would you say are some of the some movie soundtracks that really impacted you and really influenced you?
Off top, I would say like one of the first ones that I was really got into was Beverly Hills Cop.
Banger.
Yeah, there was that joint. What was the name of that joint? It was like an instrumental. And it was like bam, 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 bam. That was actually, I took that and I with a two double tape deck, I looped it so that it could last like 30 minutes.
Damn.
And I would reenact being Eddie Murphy in the movie, like dan, 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 like, and so that was one. And then, you know, and then I was really into like war movies because of the whole thing with my father, you know, like like that was like my connection. So I was like into the soundtrack for Full Metal Jacket and Platoon and Apocalypse Now and all those crazy movies, and then the Goonies, you know, like the 80s pop, like, you know, Madonna's and the Princes and the Cyndi Laupers was from the Goonies, and so those are like some of the movies that
Wow. Talk to me about actually learning the technical aspect of it all. You were talking about, you know, mixing tapes and all this. What about, you know, back then you couldn't really. It wasn't easily as accessible to go on YouTube and how to blah, blah, blah.
No, not at all.
So talk to us about the roots in that. How'd you learn the technical aspect of it all?
I mean, you start to, you know, first it comes with the want to do something. You want to be able to have like create a tape with all your favorite tracks, or you want to loop a record like the record I just told you that I wanted to go on forever. So you start to figure out how you can do that with these tape decks. And I would have hand-me-down stereo equipment, so I would have like 4 tape decks, and you could do the pitching on the tape decks, and you could pause it. It's called pause tapes, and you could actually do stuff similar to if you had turntables on a. I mean, it's a little bit rudimentary, but it worked for a kid.
Of course.
This is the thing, you know. It's hard maybe to think about it now, but going back to the '80s when I'm growing up, like to be able to manipulate music was like. If you did something to a song, you're like, oh man, like you're a wizard, bro. Like,
hell yeah.
That's why a DJ, and that's why, you know, I wanted to be a DJ. To see a DJ manipulate music was incredible to me, because the music was already such a big deal to me. To be able to take these records and control, you know, speed them up, you know, remix them, slow them down, reel them back, scratch on them. It was incredible to me. So even just doing them on tape decks, I was like excited to fuck with it. And then you could even edit them by cutting the actual tape and then taping them. Like, it was wild. It was wild.
Wow. What's your earliest memory that you can remember about seeing a DJ perform and you just being at awe?
I mean, I have terrible memory. I call it Bacardi brain,
Respect.
but now I drink a lot of beer, so it's beer brain. It is a mixture. So definitely seeing DJs in videos at first, like DJs, like Cut Creator for LL Cool J, Terminator X for Public Enemy, Dre and Yella for NWA. Seeing those DJs like in music videos, like seeing them on the tables. But then here in Miami, going to Hot Wheels as a kid, skating ring and Kendall.
Of course, big shout out Hot Wheels.
And you know, and I believe it was DJ Laz, you know, spinning there.
Hell yeah.
And just like, you know, in Hot Wheels, if anybody that from Miami that knows about Hot Wheels, you had to get like, if you didn't really skate good, you just got to the middle. That was the mission. Get to the middle joint, and that's where you could take off the skates and just chill and hang out, dance, and do whatever.
That's where I'll be, you know what I'm saying?
The B-boys and the B-girls were there, and yeah, man, I would just be looking up at the DJ, like, and you could barely see the tables in their hands, but you just see their movements, and you hear the music being manipulated and mixed, and I was like, man, I was in awe by that, you know?
Damn. How do you think the industry as a whole has changed since then? How do you think it's changed since those days?
I mean, I wasn't into the industry. I was a kid. So
I
can't really speak on the industries
more
per
so
se.
a fan from the outside, you know?
Right. I mean, obviously it's changed in so many ways. I mean, you go from vinyl to cassette, you know. Even prior to that, I remember my pops having like the the 4-tracks, the big joints, the big tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, obviously that's a big shift as it starts to change, you know, and then it could send it to CD. So that shift alone, you know, seemed like it was shaking things up. But as a kid, I wasn't really looking at the industry, you know. I was just like, what I think is different in general is that the way that we consume music and the way how long it took for it to come out and how long it took to produce the music, because it wasn't something you could digitally do so quickly. It created this patience and this appreciation for every single thing that came out. Like I remember at one point when I got super into hip hop, and before I knew it was hip hop, I'm just grabbing rap music, like, and there was a rack in the record store that just said rap music, and it would like I would go and see whatever new release, because there was only like one every couple of weeks or a month, you know? And I would steal it. And
respect.
Yeah, and so. And I didn't know who it was most of the time, and I would just listen to it front to back.
Damn.
And really, really give it a good listen and read all the liner notes in it, you know, and read the shout outs and decide, do I like it or do I not like it after all that? We don't have that patience anymore, you know, as consumers.
Would you say that you were studying those tapes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say then I was studying it, but as I went on, you know, I definitely started to take note as to everything I was reading in the credits and all that stuff to build a full picture of what's going on in the culture.
At that point, earlier on, were you more so paying attention to the lyrics or the production value of the tracks?
That's a good fucking question, man. I mean, I just think at that time, rap and hip hop was so new and so fresh to all of us that it was just like whatever was hot was hot. It wasn't that we were paying attention to anything. I mean, the lyrics, you know, as kids, we're being attracted to like, you know, vulgar and racy lyrics. You know, you had NWA, you had Straight Outta Compton and Fuck the Police and Two Live Crew and everything that was coming out, and it was just like, you know, you gravitated towards it. You know, the Flight of Light. And so the lyrics were, you know, it was dope, but I mean, it had to be a dope track, and the beats. And the reason why I know it was dope, because I could still go back to those records, and there's the ones that are still dope from that era. You know
they stand the test of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Stand the test of time. Earlier, I mean, what would you say was the reaction of your parents? What was your support system like once you really figured out that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, at this point, you know, early on, I'm being raised by a single mother, and she's just trying to like make ends meet and pay the bills. And she's working a part-time at Miami-Dade Community College, and we're living in a 1-bedroom apartment. And I'm here like just, you know, wanting to listen to. Well, I mean, before even I got into hip hop, again, going back to me being a skater, I'm listening to fucking thrash and punk.
Damn.
So like I'm wilding out, like
popping ollies left and right, dog.
So I don't think that me listening to rap music like scared my mom any more than what I was. She was already probably freaking the fuck out. You know? Like it's like it probably was calmer than some of the punk shit I was listening to.
Right.
You know, and I was listening to like even like the crazy metal like Iron Maiden and Megadeth and all that shit. Yeah. So, but you know, it's funny because my mom at that time they put those laws where like the parental advisory and I was too young to buy the tapes at that time, and I wanted to get the official copy of Straight Outta Compton. I couldn't steal it. I remember I couldn't. They had it, the rack. They had the shit on it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. I told my mom, I need you to buy this for me. And she goes, she doesn't know. She's Cuban, you know, barely speaks English. Yeah. And she goes in there, and she takes it to the thing, and they look at her, Straight Outta Compton, and they're like, all right, whatever. And it's funny. And then I get home, and it's like, fuck the police. And my mom, pero hey, ¿qué está pasando aquí?
Yo.
You know, so that was fun. And then she bought Two Live Crew, the first Two Live Crew album, and then, you know, fucking throw that D.
The rest is history.
Want some pussy.
Shit,
and my mom was probably like, what? But the cool thing about my mom is that my mom is a very artsy person, and she kind of is like you know, like kind of like liberal in that sense, like, you know, fuck it, if this is what you're into, I'm not gonna completely judge it. She was worried. She's probably more worried what people might think, like family. Okay. But she was like, fuck it, if this is what you're into it, then, you know, do it. Just don't fuck the police, you know. Like, don't fucking do anything crazy. Damn. And but yeah, so you know, she was kind of cool. You know, a little nervous, but kind of cool about it.
Okay. You had mentioned Iron Maiden and, you know, so many different rock groups and punk groups. And such a drastic change from hip hop. And what would you say are, I guess, some of the similarities between two such drastically different music genres?
I mean, going back to what I said earlier, it was me being into counterculture music and culture in general, like
standing up to authority, sort of.
Yeah, being a skater, the whole thing was going to the spot where you're not allowed to skate and having to run away or fight the security or the cops or whatever the fuck.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hitting a motherfucker with the board across the head.
Hell yeah.
And so it's funny because within the skate community was really some of the biggest hip hop heads that I knew that actually really turned me on to what the culture of hip hop was. I just thought I was a kid listening to a mix of music, punk and rock and metal and rap. And then my homies that were skaters, they were also graph writers and they were also B-boys. And I was a B-boy too. But you know, I didn't know I was living the culture of hip hop. And then my homies were like, what do you listen to? I'm like, oh, I listen to rap, I listen to that. And they're like, hip hop. I'm like, hip hop. And then they started to break it down. They were like the older homies. And they broke it down to me. And so I just feel like it was a natural transition, especially in that era of hip hop. Because it was just new and it was pushing the envelope. And then the groups that I got into were not too far apart from these rock bands and these punk bands that were like pushing the envelope. And, you know, I was into, like I said, NWA, and I was into Public Enemy. And just, it just felt the same, but it even felt better. Like I identified more with hip hop and it was more relatable to me than the metal and the punk was. You know, it just felt right.
It felt right. At what point would you say that it became something serious? That it wasn't no longer you listening to NWA tracks and, you know, XYZ. It was, this is what I'm gonna do. At what point were you like, this is no longer a hobby, but more so something I'm gonna dedicate myself to?
So going into high school, me and my boys is like a mosh posh of like all kinds of fucking people from all over, like dudes from Jersey and dudes from New York and dudes from Miami and dudes from Chicago, and we're all nationalities and ethnicities, and the common denominator is we all liked hip hop. And the other common denominator is that we were into the local scene. And so this is now early 90s, right? We decide, you know, as a crew, we're just fans of the culture, fans of the music. We want to go out to seek it out locally. And we're noticing that locally there's not a lot going on, but where you do find it, it's very like rich. You know, we had B-boys and B-girls and graph artists and DJs and MCs and all of this stuff. You know, aside from what was going on with Two Live Crew and these guys, there was like this other like full, you know, 360 hip hop culture thing going on. And we started to notice though that within the scene in Miami, you know, it wasn't cool to rep Miami, and Miami wasn't respected nationally. And so we were just out there supporting as fans the local scene. That was just our thing, just as fans of the culture, of the music, and just finding a local MC, like, and hearing a local MC was a big deal to us, and we tried to support that. So as we started coming out of high school, you know, I told my boys, I was like, yo, you know, like I want to I want to take music seriously, and I want to try to like go down this lane, and I think like the mission statement should be like, we want to sit here and help prop up our local scene and our local identity, hip hop wise, you know. So it's like we want to rival what's going on in New York and LA and Atlanta and Chicago. But the problem is that most of the people down here were repping New York or repping somewhere else. Mostly New York. There was a lot of New York transplants. So they were always just like, you would go to a club here in Miami Beach and you would hear like, what up Brooklyn, what up Bronx? And we would be like, nah. And my boys are from all over the place, but we all felt the same way. It's like, yo, we live here, we pay our bills here, we're from Miami, you know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
And so that was a big deal for us, and that's what kind of drove the beginnings of creating my crew, Crazy Hood Productions, and starting this journey of taking it seriously.
Damn. Do you think that city pride has grown since then?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I would say that, you know, I don't know that I have proof of this, but I might. We were one of the first people, if not the first people, to put 305 as a thing.
Dang.
The area code, because there was these shirts coming out of New York that were putting 718. And I forget the name of the company. It was a shirt company. They were pretty big in hip hop at the time. Okay. And I was like, I saw that and I was like, well, I mean, I can't wear that shirt in Miami, you know, like 718.
Yeah, bro.
And it had like all the boroughs on it. And it was a dope shirt, but it wasn't for a Miami dude.
Right.
So we made our own shirts, our Crazy Hood shirts, and we would put 305 on the sleeve. And I remember people like 305. But it's so funny when we started, man, when we started repping within, and this is just within like the hip hop, people were like kind of like clowning, like, nah, like.
Clowning you?
Like clowning the idea that hip hop would come out of Miami repping Miami. You know, clowning the idea. And then we took it a step even further. We're from Kendall and we repped Kendall.
Hell yeah, bro.
So people were like, you're out of your fucking mind, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
And so, but my idea was because the way I took hip hop so serious and the things I was learning from the cultures, like you don't fake where you're from. You know, you're authentic and you rep where you're from. And that's what I was like, well, we're from fucking Kendall.
Right.
We're not going to fake anything else.
Hell yeah.
What are we going to fucking say? We're from fucking, fucking Ghouls? From Carroll City? We're not from Carroll City. We're from fucking Kendall, guys.
Hell yeah.
So then the approach we started to take is like, all right, we're going to rep Kendall hard. And I looked at what in New York, what happened with the boroughs where they were like beefing and they were like, them beefing with each other was like competition and made them all better. It made the city stronger in New York. So I was like, all right, let's try and do that here. And so if we're gonna rep Kendall hard, those Hialeah boys are gonna be like, nah, fuck them Kendall dudes. And and these dudes over here are gonna say, fuck these Kendall dudes. And so that was the approach we took, man.
How important is authenticity for you?
For me, it's number one. It's the only thing that matters.
Why do you feel that there's so many artists who don't share that point of view? Why do you feel like, I mean, you hear countless stories of, you go to a music video shoot, people are renting out chains, X, Y, Z. Why do you feel that authenticity is not a commonplace thing in this industry?
I mean, I don't know, man. There's probably so many reasons for it, but just in general, the idea of fake it till you make it is one. I think there's a place where I come from at an early stage in hip hop where there was hip hop heads that were like really into the culture, really into the music. That's what they did. That's what they were into. I would tell people it was like being a goth kid. There was only a few thousand of us in Miami. We would see each other at all the hip hop things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But then with the internet and with playlists and with Apple, and all this stuff, now everybody can partake in being a hip hop head, sort of thing, which is not a bad thing. But what that does is it waters down who is, what I'm saying? Who's really into it. And so then all this technology has allowed anybody and everybody to be an amateur and try it out. And in trying it out, a lot of people have been able to go viral and become great successes. And so what happens is these great successes that are not necessarily the standard that we would have held back then because we were this smaller community kind of curating what was allowed to come out of it. Now it's just a bigger sea of people, it's more of a mainstream thing and it's just like, fuck it. It's just, it's oversaturated. So it's changed, no one cares to be authentic. They just care to be famous. They just care to be, successful, and success equals to them is if I'm getting a bag,
right?
If I'm getting money, that equals success. Me personally, that doesn't necessarily equal success. To me, success is you having some kind of principles, some kind of morals that you've set for yourself, some guidelines, and sticking to them, and not kind of lowering your standards just to sell out for some bread. But that's me. And, I understand people got to pay bills. At the end of the day, I always tell people, I don't ever blame the artist. I blame the audience.
Oh,
damn. The audience is what feeds the artist. A whack artist making money, good for that motherfucker. He's paying the bills. He's putting food in somebody's mouth. He's helping somebody in his family and his crew. Good for him or her. The audience that accepts that whack ass shit and thinks it's cool, fuck them.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, 100%, 100%.
That's my
shit. If you can get paid to do, to look like, a moron or whatever the case, but people are gonna buy it, then why not? You know what I'm saying? Right. At the end of the day,
you can't be mad. Like, I don't knock the hustle at all.
Well, I was gonna ask. There was one of the things that we talk about a lot when it comes to people that are
cheers,
my brother, that are in this industry is. one of the things that gets the most amount of negative criticism is mumble rappers.
Right.
We talk about that a lot. We hear about that a lot. What's your take on that? What are your 2 cents on mumble rappers?
There was a whole funny thing on Drink Champs where we had this debate where I couldn't believe that anybody would actually call themselves a mumble rapper.
Oh,
like,
shit.
I don't think anybody went out there and said, check this out, I'm going to mumble.
No, 100%. Right.
Now, I'm sure after the first 3 mumble rappers that didn't know they were mumble rappers, mumble rapped, and that shit popped, then another dickhead's like, bro, I just got to go blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I don't think the first few through the gate were really saying to themselves, I'm going to mumble this shit.
Not at all.
That's the way they rapped, which was probably not, it was whack. You know what I'm saying? And their boys are like, yo, that shit is tight.
Right.
But I don't think that nobody in their right mind in the beginning would have been like, fuck yeah, I'm a mumble rapper.
Damn.
And that's the debate we have on Dream, because Nori says, yes, they call themselves, I go, yes, now they call themselves mumble rappers because it's already, like, it's gone through, everybody's accepted it.
Right.
And it's become a thing. But the first few, fuck no, they didn't call themselves mumble rappers.
Of course not. Of course not. I'm going to come in here half-ass my verse. You know what I'm saying?
The person was on lean.
Right.
And they couldn't say their shit. And the fucking producer made a dope-ass beat, though.
Right. 100%.
Put some auto-tune on that bitch.
Yeah.
He said, fuck it, let's throw this bitch out.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, and then hope you can, like, repeat it afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Because if you got to perform it live, fuck. I mean, shit.
Because
Good luck.
We've gone in a realm in hip-hop. We're in, like, not an uncharted territory, but we're in a place where it's like, is it hip-hop? Like, there's a question mark on things. Like, to me, you got to be rhyming. You got to have something to say. We've gone in a place where very melodic music, where people are damn near humming or singing, where really it would have been in the R&B category, is considered hip-hop now.
Yep, 100%.
So people are like, you can't diss this. Like, oh, you just a hater. Oh, you just an old head. Nah, the guy's singing. He's not even rapping, bro.
Right.
It's dope, but not dope for hip hop. It's dope for maybe hip hop R&B. I don't know.
Right. Damn. Oh my God. How do you think that? You had mentioned the internet. How do you think that Napster, LimeWire, all these services, when that blew up and peer-to-peer programs were the thing, you know what I'm saying, that everybody was talking about, you can finally just exchange music. Do you remember that? Kind of like, how did it hit you personally? Were you hitting the record store every weekend, getting a new CD or whatever, and all of a sudden you had the world of music at your fingertips? Talk to me about that.
No, it was a slow progression. It didn't happen overnight. And the industry, which I can say that I was a part of it in the sense that I was working now. I had a marketing company, and then we had a record store. We had an indie record label. We were part of the industry. The industry didn't accept that. And it's funny, I had a conversation the other day that someone was telling me that the guy, I believe from Napster, had stepped to the record labels before he started Napster, saying, hey, this is going to be the future. Let me help you, with this MP3 stuff. And let me help you with it.
Right.
And they were like, nah, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
And then he started Napster.
Pull the blockbuster.
And then the industry tanked.
God.
And then we got, the streaming services. To me, it was like a slow train wreck. It wasn't something that happened like overnight.
Were you reluctant at first? Like, nah, fuck that. I'm not going to get on Napster. Or...
Nah, I actually, as a mixtape DJ, I was fucking downloading shit for my mixtapes that nobody else had access to. I was like, well, that shit's on Napster? Let me get that shit, bro. No, I was always trying. I'm a student of the game. Whether I like what's going on or not, as a businessman, I have to pay attention. I have to adapt with the times. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't want to adapt, I better have some other fucking route to balance out, whatever I'm not adapting to. But no, I paid attention, man, and I saw what was coming, and I would always tell my boys, because what I've noticed in the industry is that there's changes. There's like a cycle of changes. There's always going to be changes every so many years, and you have to be ready. So the minute that you get comfortable with the way things are, changes are coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better get ready. And when you're an independent artist, when you're up and coming, and you don't have much money to contend with these changes, it's going to affect you heavily. It's going to set you back. To give you an example, as an indie record label, we're here trying to put out a record, and it takes us, to press a record up, to get a deal, a distribution deal, blah, blah, whatever. We make the record. It damn near takes 6 months for that record to come out, right? In that 6 months of that record coming out, a record comes before that that is basically jacked our record, our hook, by a big artist.
How does that, like a leak? How does that happen?
I don't have any proof, but I believe that because we recorded the record in a certain studio.
Okay.
And when I look on the notes, you know, on the linear notes of the liner notes on the CD, they recorded in that studio. So I feel like someone heard our record. Look, this is how. So we're young guys in this studio, in this big studio, trying to get this record done.
Hell yeah!
And the engineer,
dollar in a dream, baby. Dollar in a dream.
The engineer sees this is exactly how it goes down. Nori, who I could tell you that whole story, but we're already down with him. He comes down to record his second album. He's working at Hit Factory, right? Which back then, was it Hit Factory? What is it now? It's Hit Factory, right? But it was something else back then. It was a different name for Hit Factory because they got bought out. But whatever. He's working at this big studio, and he's working on his second album. And he's like, I said, yo, I need you on a track. He's like, come through, and you could record it while I'm doing my studio sessions for my album.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh shit, that's dope.
Hell
so
yeah.
I bring my homies, I'm the group, the alliance. I'm like, yo, we about to do this record with Nori. We sit there all day waiting. Finally, Nori gets it done. I mean, we wait all day. I don't know what, we're just camping out, making sure this record gets done. The engineer in the studio, he sees our grind. He sees these young dudes, just local guys trying to make it happen. And he's like, you know what, man? I'm gonna mix this because this is now recording on reel to reel.
Right.
On what is it? What is it? 7-inch? I forget. But it was like, we can't do this easily. Like, it's gonna be expensive to mix this record down.
Of course.
You gotta take these reels somewhere else, another studio. So he's like, I got you. I'm gonna record this. I'm gonna mix it down for you on my spare time. And I'm like, wow, bro, this is crazy. That would, you know, with an engineer this guy's working at Hit Factory.
Caliber, yeah. What?
You know what I'm saying? He charged thousands of dollars that we didn't have, you know? And he's like, I got you, man. Just leave this shit with me here. I'm going to take care of it. It might take me like a couple weeks, but I'm going to mix it down for you. And I was like, wow, bro, this is heaven sent.
Straight up.
And so we get the record back. To us, it's phenomenal. It's got Nori. Nori's at his height. We're like, bro, man, fucking, we did it. We got a fucking hit single right now.
Out here, baby.
Featuring Nori is fucking crazy. Now we're gonna get a deal. So we get a deal with an indie label in Boston. They're like, yeah, we'll put out the vinyl was still a thing to put out, you know, as singles. We'll put out the vinyl for you. We get a deal for the full album. You know, they're gonna distribute the CD. Oh man, we on, bro. This is about to go down.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but all of this is taking time. You know, we don't have the money to fast track anything.
Right.
Everything's a super turtle, slow process. And like I said, 6 months is maybe a year even is passing by. And then all of a sudden we hear a record come out by one of the biggest artists in the fucking world. And it's like the same exact hook. The thing is, Nori wrote the hook for us.
Okay.
Like he wrote it and performed it.
Okay.
Right? So I hit up Nori and I'm like, bruh, come on, man.
Come on.
It's like literally
man.
like the week before our single drops.
Ah.
Right?
Damn.
I'm like, come on, man. Like, and he knows the person. And he's like, just let it go. I'm like, just let it go. Like,
just let it go.
Just let it go? You're fucking crazy, bro.
Yo.
And you know, and I already knew they jacked it, but I hadn't read the notes to see where they recorded, and I see they recorded at the same fucking spot. So I'm assuming the guy was mixing on his spare time, maybe between sessions. People hear it, and I hear these stories all the time. People hear something, or even they accidentally get an idea in their head and they didn't know that they jacked it. I don't believe this because it was so identical.
Bro, they can pull up the files at the computer right there at the studio, bro.
So yeah, man, that happened to us. I don't know why we got into the story, but yeah, that's something that happened to us. Man.
Talk to me about maybe a moment when you were younger, you know, when you were a hungry artist, you know what I'm saying, first starting out. What is something that maybe now, with the lessons that you've learned, you know what I'm saying, in retrospect, if you could tell that younger artist something, what would it be?
To me, consistency is the most important thing. Whoever you say you're gonna, you know, whoever you are, like what's like, you gotta decide. Like, and I said this earlier about your morals, your principles. You know, what is it that, you know, not even your sound, just like more or less like how you carry yourself in this industry, and then your output. these things should be consistent across the board. And at first it might seem like, because what happens a lot in the industry is a young person will try something, or I don't want to say a young person, any fucking artist, it could be any age. You try something, it doesn't work, and then you see the next trend popping off, or the next person who's doing something that's popping, you're like, I'm gonna try that shit.
Hop on that.
So this motherfucker will be like a trap artist, and he'll be a reggaeton artist, and he'll be like fucking lyrical Talib Kweli over here, and he, then the next day he's a fucking rocker,
Right.
Like it's like there's no consistency there. And I'm not saying that you can't experiment as an artist and do all these type of things, but I feel like if you're building a brand, building an audience, there has to be something that ties everything in together. You know, there has to be a consistency with your brand, with your messaging and everything. And to me, consistency is what's maintained myself, my crew. You know, we started a brand in 1993, and it's still here today. And we maintained ourselves. We didn't compromise ourselves, and we just kept going. And there was ups and there was downs, and there was changes in the market, changes in the local scene, and we just stayed us. And I think that in the long run, that's gonna prevail. That consistency.
They stayed true to themselves. You know what I'm talking about? Phenomenal. What do you think of artists that are already established and have decided to change up their sound? Say Machine Gun Kelly.
I mean, bro, if you're already established and you got it like that, and you have a shift. The thing is, there's two mindsets too. Like you could just be just an artist, where it's just like you can go wherever you want, and that's cool too. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm speaking to is the person who's just trying to get to the point where they could pay some bills doing their art. Now, if you're an artist that you're fucking good, and you have the ability and the freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, then follow those ideas and those passions, because that to me is true artistry. You go wherever, the art takes you. But again, I do feel like whatever you do should have something that ties it back to who you are. Like someone should see a resemblance of you in there. There shouldn't be like a complete fucking
right
180 of who you are. Like you fucking all of a sudden he goes goth on us. And it's like, bro, like, come on, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, nah, I mean, that's how I feel, at least.
For sure. Ladies and gentlemen, every single week, you know what I'm talking about? We have three segments. And the first one is actually called Mail Time. You know what I'm talking about? And in this beautiful segment, we ask our illustrious guest three questions that you yourself have submitted of either through Instagram, YouTube, any of our social media. You see that on the screen. Hit that follow. And here are the questions that you yourself have submitted. Brother, what surprised you the most about the Kanye episode?
What surprised me the most out of the Kanye episode? I don't think I was surprised by anything. I've dealt with Kanye in the past through my marketing company. I worked for Def Jam. I've seen him throughout the years. I'm actually a fan of his music. I believe in his genius. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I understand him in a sense. We're fellow Geminis.
Okay.
So maybe that's why I'm not surprised as a fellow Gemini. He's June, I'm May. It's a little different.
There you go.
But no, nothing really surprised me, man. In fact, the only thing that may have surprised me is how humble and how cool he was.
Even off camera?
More off camera. And I mean on camera too, but he was on for the camera, but off camera, like he took pictures of the whole crew, the fucking barbacks at the spot, everybody, man. And he chilled and he hung out. He was a pleasure to deal with, to be honest with you.
How'd that come about?
So he hit Nori up randomly. Just fucking randomly.
Out of the blue.
Out of the fucking blue, and Nori called me in excitement, and he had, he's like, yo, Kanye, he just hit me up, and he just started talking, and Nori said he was so excited, he didn't even hear anything other than the fact that in Kanye's rambling, he said, yeah, I'm ready to do the show, right? And so that was like a few days before it happened, and then we're like, all right, we'll figure it out, and we were debating whether we were going to go to LA and do it,
okay,
or he was going to come to Miami,
right?
And so then he called the night before on a Saturday night, And he's like, I'm coming to Miami tomorrow. and Nori's like, you know, yo guys ready? And we're all fucking ready. You know what I'm saying?
It's go time.
We got to the fucking to Racket at 8 in the morning. Whatever. 8:30. Shout out to Beats in the Hood who's with me.
Big shout out, you know what I'm saying?
And he showed up. He landed around that time and he got to the spot around 9:45.
Sheesh.
And he was just there with Larry Hoover Jr., Larry Hoover's son. Just them two.
Just them two. No security, no nothing. And another thing.
Just the driver.
And just the driver.
That's it.
Wow. And another thing that kind of surprised me, you guys hit everybody with a surprise second parter. How long did you guys shoot for?
Like 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, what it is it was a long one. Sometimes in the past we used to break up long ones.
Right.
And I was of the camp that I just wanted to release all of it at once. But I also understand, man, you want to stretch this promo as long as possible. And yeah, so we decided to break it up into 2 parts. And we also, this is the first time in a while we didn't really promote the episode till like literally like the day before. We dropped everything at the same time. We usually space out everything by a day. Like there's TV, there's audio, and then there's YouTube spaced out by days. We dropped everything at one time. Yeah.
Was this a little bit different? Did it hit different for you? I mean, you've gotten the chance to interview and speak to some of the biggest names in the industry for a while now. How was it? Was it a little bit nerve-wracking? At this point, do you not get nerve-wracked? I mean, talk to us about that.
Like in the actual interview?
No, when you got the call, it's like, no, it's go time. Were you?
No, I don't get nervous.
Hell yeah.
No, I don't really get nervous. You know, I'm actually already looking past like it's done. Like that's the way I look at things when it's done.
Right.
That's the way I look at everything. And that's actually probably a way to beat nerves because you're just like, oh no, it's done already.
Right.
You know, it's already tomorrow. I'm already waking up. I'm already taking a shit the next day.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? So it's done. It's already behind me. And that's the way I kind of look at a lot of things. But it was dope, man. And you know, and obviously it always helps. Nori's such a fucking legend and he has a lot of rapport with these artists. And so, you know, it was just fun, man. It was a fun one.
Hell yeah. Second question from our Mealtime segment. What's been the most down-to-earth guest you've ever had, and who's been the most diva-ish?
Man, it's about to be 6 years of doing this. I can't even remember all these fucking people. Down to earth. I mean, I'll just keep it recent. I would say Kanye was one of the most down to earth right now, as of the recent ones. And diva-ish. I'm not gonna throw nobody under the bus.
Respect.
But I will say this.
You can say a story without a name.
No. This is what I will say. You'll have these humongous artists in terms of their fame and celebrity who will promote their episode on Drink Champs. And you'll have these more underground artists that are not as known right now to the public not promote it.
Oh, bro, you don't got to tell me that.
That blows my mind.
Oh, yeah.
That blows my mind when that happens. So I that to me is like, really? Like I don't understand. But
yep, it happens. And it happens here too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like Kanye was promoted it, no problem. Right now, Alicia Keys promoted it, no problem.
Wow.
You'll have this other person, which our platform is for those people, the people that have been forgotten. You know, like to me, to have a Kanye is really to benefit the other guy that I really want to get the shine because we brought in a new audience through Kanye. And so it kind of like it's disheartening when they don't, you know, they're not proactive about promoting their episode.
All right. And the last question from our Mealtime segment. What has it been like working with Revolt?
Revolt's been dope, man. I don't know if you know, I have this documentary series called Coming Home, and my first film, which was a documentary I did in Cuba, I filmed it in 2012. It was my first time making a film. Like I never thought I was gonna get into the filmmaking business. And shout out to my homie Garcia, who's now huge music video director. He's from our crew. He was a part of that as well. And we did this film. It was our first film ever. And it got picked up by Revolt the year they launched the network. We were the first original acquisition. And it was Coming Home Cuba.
Wow.
And so for that, I'll forever be grateful to them, you know, for doing that. And then after that, they picked up the next 3 films after that. So 4 in total. They picked up Coming Home Haiti, Coming Home Peru, and Coming Home Vietnam. And so I was already had a working relationship with them. And then shout out to my homie Ramon Dukes, who came. I came to meet him when he was at MTV, and Sway was over at MTV, and they were doing Mixtape Mondays, and they were always putting my mixtapes in Mixtape Mondays.
Oh wow!
Like talking about them. So, and this is all about how you I always enforce like having relationships and maintaining relationships. And so Ramon, he left MTV, went and he hits me up. Actually, I invited him to and I'm kind of going all over the place, but I invited him to the screening of Coming Home Cuba. I was doing it in Harlem in New York at a film festival. And he comes over, he didn't even make it. He got there late and he's like, "Yo, Puffy's about to launch this new network. Do you have a DVD? I'm gonna take it. They're looking for stuff like this." And he didn't have to see it. He just, from what I'm telling him. And then he takes it over there and he gets me, a licensing deal for the project. And then fast forward, Drink Champs is happening and Ramon comes back to the phrase like, "Yo," And then also Nori, obviously has a relationship with Puff.
Right.
And then my marketing company, we worked for Bad Boy. So it's like all relationships are coming together to culminate in this big relationship with Revolt. And we've been with them. So Drink Champs has been on for 6 years. We've been with them for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And we became, I think, one of the first podcasts that had like a television component.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sending in those questions. Those were phenomenal questions indeed. Thank you. Tune in every, Saturday, Sunday, whatever the case may be. Go on our social media and send in those questions. What would you say, I guess, is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned so far in the music industry that you are able to apply today?
I don't take too many lessons from the actual industry because the industry is fucking full of shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the lesson. Like the industry's full of shit. Try not to become one of those full of shit people.
Right.
I just, that's why I keep my ass in Kendall and I have my homies, my crazy hood homies, and we try to maintain who we are and how we've been. And I really don't subscribe to the industry facade and mentality and pageantry and all that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And even like money doesn't move me. That's the other thing. That's what I would say is like, don't get moved by money. Because money come, money go. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't that a fact?
And so one thing you should learn is I'll tell you one thing. It's not a big fucking, brain fart, but it's like, pay your fucking taxes.
Straight up.
And early on in working in the industry, I'm like, fuck taxes.
Yeah,
that's my money.
Straight up.
No, the IRS said, no, that's my money, and you about to go to prison, motherfucker.
Damn.
Oh, no. What do we got to do? What we got to work out?
It's about to be your last podcast, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
So, pay your taxes and save your money or invest your money and understand, like stop looking at music and entertainment that everybody's going to be a celebrity and famous. I'm not saying not to have big dreams. I'm just saying have backup plans and be realistic. Mm-hmm. Be happy to be able to be a creator and an artist and make a living. And live in, if you live in a fucking apartment with fucking food and water and heat and air conditioner and clean sheets and you're okay, bro, that's you made it.
You made it straight up.
You know what I'm saying? You made it. Like to me, that's you made it.
Man, and you can pay that with art, with your artistry, bro.
You made it. So we're living in this crazy social media time where we're looking at everybody's best life, which is fake life. And we feel like we didn't make it. And we're all susceptible to it. Even the ones that know it, because the way that our brains are wired looking at this shit, it's like a drug, bro. Like you're fucked up. You're like, bro, these motherfucking pictures, this motherfucker's on a yacht. Like, oh shit. Like, and I'm poor. Like,
right.
No, man, turn that shit the fuck off, man.
That's a rental, brother.
If you are passionate about doing your art, whatever it is, whether it be, fucking graphic art, whether it be fucking music, whatever the fuck, just have a plan. Yes, of course, aspire to be the biggest one in the game, but but be content with fucking, you know, making a living, because that is making it. Because the percentages are against most people in this. So if you can fucking just pay bills, then you made it. Understand that. Like celebrate that success. You know, you fucking have a job that you love when most people have a job that they hate. And be content with that and keep working towards more, of course. Like, keep growing. Like listen, I'm fucking 46 years old right now. Like, I started this when I was fucking 17. You know, and now is that I'm seeing a lot of the fruits of my labor. But I've had instances where there's highs and there's lows. I was fucking hood rich, and I was fucking about to eat just a piece of bread, eating ramen noodles, and that's it. And I had to hunker down. But again, then I fall back on consistency, because what happens to a lot of people is when they're strapped for cash, they lash out, become very animalistic.
Yep.
And you lose all sense of how to act with people. You know what I'm saying? You feel like everybody owes you something. Nobody owes you shit.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, hunker down, get your senses together, and make sure you maintain that consistency. The same person that you were when you were making $1, act that way when you're not making $1. You know what I'm saying? And keep it moving forward.
Keep it moving forward. Keep it moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, every single week, you know what I'm talking about? We have 3. I said 3 segments. And the second one is actually my movie review of the week. You know what I'm talking about? And in this beautiful segment, we ask our illustrious guests for a suggestion, a recommendation. Let's say you got 2,000 people and they got like 2 hours to kill because they're about to go to a live taping of Drink Champs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what would you suggest for them? A movie, a TV show? We're talking about Netflix, HBO, Hulu, doesn't really matter. Any sort of TV show or movie that you're binging right now that you would recommend. Ideally 5 out of 5 stars.
I don't get to watch shit because I got 2 little kids at the crib, so I'm watching fucking Bluey, and Bluey's off the chain.
Oh, that's bangers, bro.
Bluey's off the chain,
Bluey, bro. Teletubbies,
yeah.
what?
Nah, fuck Teletubbies.
Fuck
Bluey's
Teletubbies.
off the chain, bro.
Gang.
Bluey's relatable, but what I did get to watch the other night with my girl that was pretty fucking dope was the Anthony Bourdain documentary, which obviously I was inspired by Anthony Bourdain when I'm doing my films right now, the Coming Home series. And it's called Roadrunner. It's about, you know, basically his life. That's a phenomenal film, and it actually speaks to a lot of the stuff we're talking about, where it's like celebrity and what they're really going through, and you know, he committed suicide.
So it goes into his mental health struggles?
Yeah, absolutely, and like his addictions and where he was just throwing his addictions at, you know.
Roadrunner. How many stars would you give it?
Out of what?
5.
Out of 5, I'd give it 4.
Okay.
4.5, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
And you know, I saw the Narcos. The new Narcos was dope.
Right. Hell yeah.
That shit was dope. Oh, you know what's dope is the new Kevin Hart series on Netflix.
Is it now?
What? That shit's off the chain.
For real,
bro.
for real?
I thought it was gonna be whack.
Yeah?
Because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be some, like, I don't got time for no comedy no more. I need something that's gonna, like, I don't know, man. Like,
I need some substance.
No,
bro.
it was dramatic. It's dramatic.
Oh, for real?
No, it's a drama.
But he's not funny at all? I mean,
No, it's a drama.
oh wow.
It fucks you up because he plays a comedian that's a celebrity comedian, and then shit goes down, and you think, is this about him? Like, that's how close to his life it's mimicking, but it's some crazy murder shit. Like, it's crazy.
God damn. Okay.
Nah,
damn.
that shit is ill. That shit
I'm
is
gonna have to check it out. Damn. Brother, talk to us about Drink Champs. Talk to us about the origins. You know, you said 6 years ago. How did it come to be? You know, was it a midnight meeting and you were kind of just talking shit and you're like, maybe we should start a podcast? How did everything come to be?
Nori moves down to Miami. Right? This is after he puts out his reggaeton album.
Okay.
I'm not into reggaeton, so he comes to Miami. He's like, yo, E, you know, bring me back to hip hop, basically. You know? And so he ends up moving to Kendall. And I had my studio in Kendall at the time. I mean, I still have one, but it's a different studio. And he's working out of my studio every day. We're trying to, like, just get him back into, like, you know, doing hip hop joints, because kind of the industry at that time wasn't ready for reggaeton yet. He was kind of like in the forefront of it, and the English market kind of turned their back a little bit on him.
Right.
You know, and he could speak to that better than I can. So, you know, we're here working on records, and it didn't take long for people, you know, him to do phenomenal joints that people were fucking with. And so in those studio sessions, and around my crew. So there's two parallel stories with Drink Champs: the name and the actual doing of a podcast.
Okay.
The name, me and my crew are big drinkers, right? We would have meetings every week, going back to like, I don't know how many years now, 20 years, 25 years, where we'd all get together and have studio sessions and gamble and do all kinds of fuck shit.
Hell yeah.
And it was always, you had to bring a bottle of something, and usually it was Bacardi, because I was a big Bacardi drinker at the time.
Okay.
And if you couldn't handle your liquor, you're not a drink champ.
Damn.
That was the saying. Oh, you're not a drink champ. And so that was the thing we would say all the time. You know what I'm saying? And actually, every time I see like some social media, she said, "Oh, 5 years ago," and it says hashtag drink champ, or 10 years ago hashtag drink champ. And so we were saying that, and so that's the saying, drink champ. Then Nori's working with me and a homie Leo G at XM Radio. This is before XM is with Sirius, before they merge. He's like, "Yo, would you guys like to do a show for XM Radio?" And at the time, to do a show on XM Radio, XM was based in Washington, D.C. You had to be there in their studios. He's like, no, I'll work it out so you guys could just send in the show. So we were recording a weekly show on XM Radio out of our studio in Kendall. And it was me and Nori, and there's some old footage of that, and it sounds, the way we start the show is just like Drink Champs. Make some noise, my name's EFN, Nori. We had Tiger Bone, the whole drinking, we just didn't have a lot of guests. Okay. Not too many people were coming to fucking Kendall to be on Drink Champs. I mean, on this show. And Nori was kind of like on his low at the time, you know what I'm saying? So we did that for like 3 years. Then the merger happened. We're on Sirius XM. We're on different channels. And we did it, and we didn't make a dime. We did it for fun, just for shits and giggles, bro. And
for the first 3 years?
For 3 years, yeah. Yeah, we did that show. And then we stopped doing it because we weren't making a dime. And Nori put out a new album with Capone Noriega. He went on tour in Europe. I started managing this group called Mayday out of Miami. Okay. Some of my homies.
Yeah. Big shout out.
Yeah. And they got a deal with Tech Nine with Strange Music. They went on tour. So I got busy with them, and we just didn't have time for it. But my homie at the time, another local dude in Kendall named Godfrey, he had a podcast called Gamertag Radio. Mm-hmm. And he was always advocating to me about podcasting. But at the time, nobody was fucking podcasting. Mm-hmm. Like, the way that people in hip-hop looked at podcasts was like some nerd shit. Right. Like, computer nerd shit. Like, only computer nerds podcast and listen to podcasts. Right. And there was only like 2 or 3 hip-hop podcasts, and they were considered nerd podcasts. And so, but I got it, though. I saw it. He told me, and I was like, yeah, I see it, man. I see it.
Did you think it was going to be, podcasting as a whole was going to blow up as much as it did?
I didn't think so. I didn't know. I thought there was a future in it because I started to read the tea leaves. Like, I was like I started, once I was put onto it, like, I already knew what it was, but once my boy was like, nah, do this. Then it opened my mind to, like, let me research what's going on. I started to see the business of it and I saw other genres having great success in podcasting. Comedians, whatever, news shit. And I'm like, nah, I think this is something. And hip hop, it doesn't really have a foothold in this. It doesn't have a lane in it yet. So I started to tell Nori about it because I wanted to do the same thing we were doing on SiriusXM, but without the restrictions of having to do it for this long and every week it has to be at this time. And because my boy's like, no, you can do it whatever the fuck you want, however long you want, put it out whenever you want. Like, it's up to you. So
creative freedom. Right.
And so I'm telling Nori, and at first he doesn't get it. He's not into it. Naturally, he doesn't. He's like, yeah, that's some nerd shit. Like, and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I think, like, he would tell me like, yeah, that sounds cool, yeah, but he wasn't like really rolling with it.
Right, kind of passive.
And then some other people hit him up. There was this network called Loudspeakers Network. I think they're still around. They had a show called Combat Jack. I think Charlemagne had a show with them. Brilliant Idiots, I think, is through them. And they hit up Nori and they were like, yo, that thing you used to do with EFN, you should do it as a podcast. They told him that. He's like, okay. And he threw him my way and they're talking to me. All right, EFN, you guys are down? Oh, all right. They send equipment and everything. God. And then Nori's just not with it. Like, I'm like, all right, they send equipment, but let's do this.
Just serious.
And then these guys are like, what's up? We sent you equipment. We need some episodes. What's going on? Like, bro, he's not. I sent the equipment back. Then this is years of trying to get this going. God damn. Then again, Nori's like, oh, I think I'm ready. And then they send equipment again, I think. send it back. It doesn't happen again. And then finally, Nori, what the fuck?
I think that's your people.
Jesus Christ, bro! I'm just gonna
way to make an entry.
Shit.
What's going on, brother? What's going on, man?
So then I finally shout out to Weird Thoughts from the Alliance. He's in the group that we talk about that single with Nori.
Oh, big shouts.
And is also here, and there's also Crazy Hood as well.
What's going on, brother?
So where was I? What was I talking about? I think I was with the podcast. So then finally, yeah, man, he finally is like, all right, you know, he's coming to it, but he's not really with it. And he does a podcast that was a dude that was like a street dude, Taxstone, and he comes out of that, and he's like, oh shit, I kind of see myself in that guy. Oh shit, he does podcasting. I feel like he never told me this clearly, but it felt like that convinced him that he could do this. You know, that it was okay to do it, you know?
Okay.
And he's like, I'm ready. And then all that time, though, I had got Drink Champs. I had grabbed the .com of Drink Champs. I had grabbed the Twitter.
You were making moves, bro.
Yeah, but I didn't know what it was going to be yet. I just liked the term Drink Champs. Oh. I grabbed Drink Champ and Drink Champs.
Smart man.
I was amazed that nobody owned that
it's great.
the .com.
Great fucking name.
You know what I'm saying? And then my homie Scam, an artist and an MC, he had did the artwork for Eminem, Slim Shady LP, the Tribe Called Quest, Beats Rhyme and Life, amongst. I always just say those two because those are the most no reads to most people.
But you can stop right there. You know what I'm saying?
And so he did the logo. He's from Miami. He's from Carroll City, by the way.
Big shouts.
And if that song, that famous song by Eminem, and I always say this, and he's like, bro, the song Stan mentions him. It says, I got that shit you got with, you have a Scam. That's Scam. And he's from Carroll City. I'm just saying, Miami, understand.
You just saw the Rubik's Cube in my childhood right there, bro.
So Scam, I said, yo, can you create a logo for me? And he created the amazing Drink Champs logo.
Fuck.
And then it all started to come together like a Rubik's Cube, like we're all finally the puzzle pieces are coming. And then my boy Godfrey is like, yo, my podcast just got picked up by CBS Radio. Would you like me to make an introduction? And I tell Nori, yo, what do you think about CBS? He's like, oh, that sounds big.
I mean, shit.
You know what I'm saying? And so, all right. And then CBS is like, yo, you need to make 2 demos. 2 pilot episodes.
Shit.
So we film, we record the first one with Kenny Anderson, the basketball player.
Just audio?
Just audio. I mean, we had some cameras there. I was already thinking visual, but for me at that point, it was more like promotional visuals, like just clips.
Right.
To promote the audio. And then the second day was Fat Joe. And the Fat Joe episode. Oh, and I told Nori, Drink Champs. He's like, I have the name, Drink Champs. And when Nori's like ready to rock and roll, all right, whatever. Drink it. All right, that's what it is. Boom, okay, let's go. Let's rock. And I had the logo. I had everything, the .com. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And we did those 2 episodes. Fat Joe was the first one put out. We exceeded all expectations. The numbers were phenomenal. We were like 300,000 downloads in the first week. And it was just, we caught lightning in a bottle, bro.
Wow.
That's Drink Champs.
That's Drink Champs. Wow. How important is it for you to represent your Cuban roots in everything that you do, whether it be music, whether it be Drink Champs? Talk to us about that. Or even, more importantly than anything, filmmaking,
Right. I mean, it's less about necessarily repping my Cuban roots and more about being authentic to who I am. You know what I'm saying? Because like as a crew, we're multicultural and ethnic, so we rep in all these different groups, you know what I'm saying? But me personally, I'm Cuban, so I'm gonna rep my fucking Cuban shit, you know what I'm saying? And it's just this whole thing where authenticity is important,
What would you say was some of the biggest challenges that you guys had to overcome with Drink Champs? I mean, whether it be, guests that bailed last minute or technical difficulties, a damn cup of water getting spilled on the MacBook, I'm sure things happen. Talk to us about a couple horror stories down the line.
I mean, the first obstacle was we blew up so fast from the first episode.
Right.
That CBS Radio, who had the CBS Radio ad sales team going out there and pitching for their podcast, they didn't know how to sell us.
What?
Because what happens is our numbers were so big, so fast that there was no history to us. So then they had, like, because of the numbers, they had to ask for a large amount of money.
Of course.
But then on top of that, there's no history. And then on top of that, the show is crazy. Like, you're telling, like, fucking Coca-Cola, like, yeah, we need you to sponsor this show. You need to pay this top dollar because they got big numbers. What are they called? Drink champs? What do they do? Get drunk? What do they say? How many abortions have you had? Like, do you eat ass? Like,
respect, bro. And I do.
So it's safe to say we didn't see a penny, not even with CBS Radio, for 6 months. They didn't know how to sell us.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the first hurdle. That we were doing something that was phenomenal, that was killing the game, and we weren't seeing a goddamn penny off it. We were investing our own money for 6 months to keep it going.
God.
But we just knew it was so culturally relevant, and it was like we were just, what was paying us was what was the feedback coming. You know?
Right. Did you ever fear that starting off on such a strong foot, boom, Fat Joe, you know what I'm saying? An iconic name. And shout out, I believe he's doing his own podcast now, if I'm not mistaken. Did you ever fear that maybe there was a week that was going to be a little bit lighter on the name spectrum and it wouldn't hit as hard? And maybe the people that are putting up the money were going to complain? Did you ever fear about that or not at all?
Well, we're the ones putting up the money.
Right.
So
I'm sorry. It came 6 months down the line is what you're telling me, right?
The advertising.
The advertising.
Yeah.
Did you ever fear that maybe if you had like a lighter week, it wouldn't look as good, or that wasn't what you were thinking about?
It's all about, to me, you might get a different answer from Nori than you'll get from me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I think they'll be close enough, but it might be slightly different. For me, again, it goes back to everything I've told you, is consistency. It's all about being consistent. The way I always looked at the podcast was the podcast should not be based around the guest. It should be based around the host and the crew. I was a fan of Howard Stern and how he made all these people celebrities that were nobodies around him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the engineer,
Robin,
the manager.
Yeah,
no, Robin was she was always
doing her
big.
thing. Yeah.
But I mean, the people that wouldn't normally be on the mic or be celebrities, he turned them into these celebrities. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
And so that's what I was going for, so that we can actually maintain without a guest. What was important to me is that we could do a podcast without a guest and it still at least get a considerable amount of listens and people still enjoy it. And people were more into the podcast because of us and how we operated versus the specific guest. What I wanted to be is the guest was like the icing on the cake. You just wanted to see how the guest was going to react in that environment.
Gotcha.
Which I think is how people were into Howard Stern. Like,
yes.
They were just like, I want to see how this guest in Howard Stern is going to be.
Right,
you know?
right. Damn, that very, very good point. Right. Do you ever feel a challenge in connecting with a certain guest, or do you always find something in common with them?
No, I mean, I don't always find something in common with people. Again, I'm lucky because I have a strong co-host, Nori. I mean, you know, a lot of times he has a lot of personal relationships and stories with these people. So, you know, it's safe to say that he's the Johnny Carson and what's the other guy's name?
David Letterman.
No, not David Letterman, bro.
No, two different time frames.
The co-host on the Johnny Carson show. I always use that as
I got you. I'll put it on the screen, bro.
But yeah, I don't have an ego to say like that I don't mind taking that role in the show. The way that I do it is I do try to find commonalities with the guests, and that's what I will always try to chime in on what I find at that moment. You know, we're gonna jive on, or what we're gonna talk about that is relevant to that moment, to that conversation. Where Nori has to drive the ship to an extent. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the co-pilot in that extent. But in the totality of the show, we're both working equally. Very hard.
Are you, of course, are you trying to avoid any sort of disagreements, or are you open to
with guests or Nori?
With guests or Nori, if you share different points of views when it comes to certain things, like you had said, there's not everything that Kanye says you don't agree with. Right. Are you gonna speak your mind, or are you just gonna let the ship kind of go in a direction that everybody kind of agrees with?
It's all the way it vibes at that moment for me. For me, like with Kanye, I already knew he's very headstrong. He's very opinionated. He has these opinions, and he doesn't have to be there with us like anybody though. Nobody has to be there with us. Of
course.
But, I felt like Kanye, I don't agree with a lot of things he says, but I also think he gets picked apart very easily by people, and he's kind of easy prey for people that want to pick him apart. And I wanted him to feel that he was in a safe place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not there to necessarily disagree with you. Just because I don't agree with you, just because I don't disagree with you doesn't mean that I'm agreeing with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So sometimes you have to let people just do their thing. And in a sense, we just let him feel comfortable, feel safe, and just talk. And a lot of people felt like, man, this is the Kanye that I used to love. Like, this is the Kanye. So we wanted to give him that safe place because this is a hip hop community. This is a place for hip hop artists to come and feel like this is a safe space. This is not a I got you spot. This is not a media outlet where we're trying to get that juicy fucking, clickbait. That's not what we're here for. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes even if I feel like, I didn't like what he said there, it just all has to feel like an organic conversation.
Right.
It's not that I won't do it or I will do it. It just has to vibe. There's times where someone says something because the whole point of the way that Drink Champs, in my opinion, what people like about it and what we were seeking out to do was bring the same conversations that were happening backstage or happening in the studio that nobody was hearing amongst peers on tape, like bring it out to the public. And the liquor helps to kind of loosen everybody up.
It's a lubricant,
Yeah, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we were doing. We were having drinks. We were talking shit. It's the barbershop talk. It's all that. And what happens is if you watch a full Drink Champs, you'll see the evolution of the conversation.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. I mean, just in the Kanye episode alone, you can see him dropping a couple gems in the beginning, and then halfway through and towards the end of the beginning of the first part, he's far more comfortable. He's opening up. He's talking about so many things, and many people are actually claiming that to be the best podcast episode of the entire year.
That's crazy.
What's been some of the reception that you've heard about that episode? And kind of a second parter to that question, what's been to date the most gratifying episode for you?
Shit, man. Okay, so the first part is the Kanye, right, that you asked about. What was it again? Say it again.
So pretty much for Kanye West, I guess, how would you say that, people that are, like I said, he has an arc from the beginning to the end of that episode. He feels a little bit closed off in the beginning, but towards the end, he's a little bit far more open. How would you say that, I guess, or if you want to answer the second parter, what's been the most gratifying episode to date that you've had? I know it's easy to talk about Kanye because it's so recent. It's been such an impactful episode. And like I said, so many people have said that this has been the podcast episode of the year. What's been some of the reception that you've gotten about the Kanye episode?
So the second part of your question,
the most gratifying episode, and then the first part is...
I don't necessarily, I can't pinpoint one specific episode as the most gratifying, but I will tell you the type of episodes that are the most gratifying.
Okay.
And it is the reason why I do Drink Champs, and I'm only saying I because I can't speak for Nori,
of course.
But I'm pretty sure he feels the same way, is when we have these guests that haven't been in the media in a long time, that have been forgotten.
Oh,
that they feel that they've been forgotten, that they have kind of like they feel like they don't have a career anymore because maybe they didn't follow up with the new social media age, or but they were big in their time in like the 90s or whatever. When we do an episode with these type of guests and we give them their flowers and we explain to them, no, you are important to the culture. You know what I'm saying? There's no denying what you contributed. And to get the feedback from that episode and for them to feel that love that they hadn't felt in a long time. And in most cases, it reinvigorates them to start up doing music again.
Oh, man.
Or start doing something again. It just brings them back where they feel more comfortable in the public again. That to me is the most gratifying of what we do.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Because although it's so dope to have these huge celebrities on the show, but to me is what that's going to do to the other guy or girl that comes on the show that hasn't been around, that's a little nervous to do media because they just haven't done it in a while. They come in, they all of a sudden feel safe. They talk, they shoot their shit, they loosen up, they talk their shit too. We tell them, nah, you're the shit. And then they're like, fuck yeah, I'm the shit. And they walk away, and then their fans or people who discover them say, fuck yeah, you're the shit. And we see them be like, oh, fuck, man, that was dope.
Damn.
That to me is the most gratifying.
God, wow. And then, the first parter would be, what has been the reception you've gotten so far on the Kanye episode?
I mean, the reception, I think most people have seen it. It's been phenomenal. This has obviously been our biggest, like, in terms of mainstream media, looking at it and exposing it and promoting it and covering it. Like, I was getting fucking emails from ETV and fucking, whatever. All these crazy CNN and Fox posted about it. Like, the craziest fucking outlets posted about it that would never post Drink Champs.
Right.
And so the feedback was crazy. But again, it goes back to the other thing is that what's most gratifying about this is people saying that they weren't fucking with Kanye anymore. They didn't like him anymore. They wasn't following him anymore. And that this made them like him again, or this made them understand him better. That to me is the best thing. Because I am not a journalist. Nori's not a journalist. Nori might fuck around and say, no, I'm a journalist now. We're not journalists. He's an MC. I'm a fucking DJ. We care about hip hop. We want to have other hip hop heads on the show. We want to shoot hip hop shit, talk that shit.
Right.
Have drinks, enjoy ourselves, have some laughs, have it be not a serious convo.
Right.
Go all over the place with it. Like if we're just homies talking, and then we just want people to feel good when they walk away.
Oh.
We don't want it to be where you're like, fuck, bro, like these guys, they got me. They made me do this. And I'm not going to tell you we've never had that happen, but it rarely happens.
Right.
Not if they know the show, if they understand the show. There's instances where someone came because their publicist told them to come. They never followed the show. They never knew what to expect. And they're caught off guard.
Bro, that's the worst. Got to do your homework. Dog, what you mean?
We pride ourselves, and we don't want purposely people who are on promo runs. That's the thing. We want you to come when it's not because of an album coming out. Right. No disrespect to anybody that came because of an album, but that's really where the magic is. You know what I'm saying? Where you're not there for a reason to promote something. You're there because you want to be there. And you wanting to be there is going to make it, a whole and more enjoyable experience.
Have you ever had someone ask you to cut something out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? All the time?
Yeah. I mean, not all the time. And we try never to edit, but we have edited. Mm-hmm. We have a rule, like an unspoken rule, that basically we want to make sure we don't get people in any legal problems.
Okay.
So, because we do want it to be a place where you could just talk. So our idea is like, we're going to drink and we're going to talk. So you might say some shit that you're going to regret afterwards. So the point is that you have a team with you or people with you, or you yourself can say, hey man, at the end of the episode or like the day after, these are the things that I would like to take out. And if they're reasonable, we'll take them out. No problem. Now the problems will come in if someone sits on it and waits for like, it's about to air tonight. Yeah. Hey man, can you take out that part? No, we can't.
That episode's done.
Saying? Like,
it's just done.
We can't do that. But again, we're not there to like get people in trouble.
Of course.
Or cause. Like, we're not there for clickbait, bro. We're here for. It sounds corny. We're there for the culture.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, every single week, you know what I'm talking about? We have three. I said 3 segments, and the last one is actually the quest for the truth. You know what I'm talking about? And in this beautiful segment, I ask our guest a random, emphasis on the word random, question from this here deck of cards. I don't know what the question is going to be, but here.
Can I tell you about one more segment that you haven't talked about?
Please do.
The one where I got to go take a piss now.
Oh, my brother, that's my favorite segment. And that works out great because it gives me time to pick out.
You want Beats in the Hood
pick out a card. Oh, you know what I'm saying? That's beautiful, brother. And here we go. What event do you think impacted the world the most?
Fuck, bro.
Yeah, bro. Bro, don't blame me. Blame the questions.
What event impacted the world the most?
And look, you don't have to be literal. You don't have to hit me with the Big Bang. For you, it could be, I don't know, Dr. Dre's 2001. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not far from the Big Bang. I'm thinking dropping the bomb on Hiroshima.
Well, there you go.
Like,
damn.
Putting us into the Cold War and, basically setting off, the potential for nuclear war in the future.
Damn, that's a great answer right there. Tremenda questions too, right?
Yeah.
Damn. Brother, before we start wrapping up this magnificent powerhouse of an episode, I gotta ask, earlier you had told us some of the inspirations when it comes to movie soundtracks. Talk to us about some inspirations when it comes to artists.
Artists in terms of musicians, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you, for me as a DJ, some of the inspirations, and I mentioned some already. I told you Terminator X. I told you Cut Creator. I told you
NWA.
Yeah. Well, DJ Yella and Dre on the tables. And on me being a mixtape DJ, the Kid Capris, the Tony Touches, the Doo Wops, the Ron G's, the SNS's, the Mr. C's, and then locally we have DJ Craze. He's my peer, but he's an inspiration as well. So
Damn. Amazing. And I gotta hit you with a tough question. I gotta hit you with a toughie. A top 5. Give me a top 5 when it comes to artists and a top 5 when it comes to albums.
See, that's a fucked up question for a DJ, man. I'm gonna tell you, I can't do that as a DJ because we have so many records in our fucking brain.
Right.
Like I did a documentary interview the other day. It was a DJ documentary. They're like, give us the 5 records, go-to records in the club, and I'm like my brain is thinking of all these records, because the vibe is what dictates,
of course,
the top 5 records.
Damn.
But I'll tell you some of the artists, some of the 5 artists that I in my top 5.
And does this list currently constantly change?
Changes by 1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? In terms of there's no order, but I'll say Ice Cube is always gonna be there. I'll tell you that Nas is gonna be there.
Oof.
Kendrick is gonna be there. Kendrick to me is fucking phenomenal, hands down. Scarface is gonna be there. As a group, Outkast is gonna be there.
Oof.
That's 4 or 5.
That's 5.
That's 6.
No, right. Well, I mean, if you're adding Outkast being 2. So,
right. Damn. Wow. I mean, Outkast. Would you say that if Kendrick never dropped another album, he's still up there?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Damn.
What he's done in a short amount of time is phenomenal.
Man, I'm waiting on the next Kendrick album, though. I will say.
Yeah.
God. Ladies and gentlemen, what an amazing episode. Today we have had a powerhouse of an episode. Can we please give it up for DJ EFN? My brother, God. First of all, my brother, thank you so much for dropping on by today. Absolutely. It's been absolute love. Thank you so much. Before we hit those closing outros, my brother, talk to us a little bit about social media. Where can the people follow you, follow your journey? You know what I'm saying? Talk about Drink Champs, all that good stuff.
Well, you could follow Drink Champs at Drink Champs, everything. Instagram for me is at Who's Crazy. The company is at official Crazy Hood, official Crazy Hood. And at DJ EFN on Twitter for me. And then crazyhood.com is the site, and drinkchamps.com is the site for Drink Champs.
Phenomenal. Please give them a follow. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe, all that good stuff. Let them know that we sent you. And I always wrap up the episode with one last question. I got to ask, brother, what do you foresee happening? What are you excited for this upcoming year for you?
I mean, continuing what we're doing I got the Fatherhoods podcast, which is a podcast about being, it's hip hop fathers basically.
Damn.
Talking shit about being fathers.
Hell yeah.
And then Drink Champs is going to continue to do what Drink Champs is going to do. There's no stopping Drink Champs. We're going on to, finishing our 6th year.
Oof.
And then the Coming Home film series, we recently partnered up with LL Cool J and Rock the Bells on progressing that series. We already have 6 in the can, and hopefully we do more. With as a partner now. And, all my homies got their own podcast in the crew. So, we got the Grumpy OGs. We got Dream Big Hip Hop, Dream Chance Sports.
Oh, yeah.
We got my homie Beats in the Hood, who, we got Lost in Translation. And so, expanding what we're doing as a crew, as a team. and just, you know, continue to create, man.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, I congratulate you and the entire crew on their success. I truly, truly do, my man. Ladies and gentlemen, every Thursday at midnight, you know what I'm saying? You know what it is. Go on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, all that good stuff. But more than anything, YouTube. You know what I'm saying? That's why we got damn 72 cameras in here so you can see everybody's damn faces and they get up and all that good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, every Thursday at midnight, you know what it is. Holla.
And it don't matter what the world thinks. You can say how you feel on midnight in Miami. When you can push it to the limit, it gets real without